What if a single journey, one that reshaped our entire world, simply never happened? Imagine a history where continents remained isolated, empires never clashed, and the very food on your plate never existed. In August of 1492, Christopher Columbus stands on the docks of Spain. But in this timeline, the royal treasury is empty. The Spanish crown denies his desperate pleas for funding. The Santa Maria, the Nina, and the Pinta never set sail. The Atlantic Ocean remains an unbroken, terrifying void. This is the story of a world where the Americas were left untouched, and history took a radically different path. Without the Spanish conquest, the great civilizations of the Western Hemisphere do not collapse. In Mesoamerica, the Aztec Empire continues its dominant reign. Tenochtitlan, a city built on a lake, grows larger and more magnificent than Paris or Constantinople. Over the centuries, the Aztecs adapt. Their brilliant engineers expand the chinampas, the floating gardens, feeding millions. They develop writing, mathematics, and astronomy to heights we can only dream of. Farther south, the Inca Empire dominates the rugged peaks of the Andes. Their vast road network, spanning thousands of miles, becomes the highway for a highly organized, collectivist state. Without the smallpox epidemics that historically decimated up to 90% of their population, these empires do not fall. They evolve. As the centuries pass, these civilizations would inevitably face internal struggles, rise, fall, and be replaced by new indigenous powers. Perhaps a great maritime nation emerges from the Maya of the Yucatan, building trade fleets that dominate the Gulf of Mexico. By the time of our modern era, the Americas are not a land of colonized nations speaking Spanish and English. Instead, they are a patchwork of powerful, industrialized indigenous states, proud of their heritage and fiercely independent. Now, let us turn our gaze to Europe. Without the massive influx of silver from the mines of the Americas, the Spanish Empire never rises to absolute dominance. The gold that fueled centuries of European warfare simply does not exist. Spain remains a regional power, and the balance of Europe remains delicate and unstable. The Ottoman Empire continues to control the lucrative land routes to India and China. Deprived of a Western escape route, European kingdoms are forced to turn their attention inward, fighting bitter wars over scarce resources, or pushing south around the treacherous Cape of Good Hope to reach the riches of Asia. The European Renaissance and the scientific revolution still happen, but they are slower, more cautious, and deeply focused on survival. And what of the land itself? The landscape of North America remains vastly different. Without European settlers clearing the forests and building megacities, the great primeval forests of the East remain intact. The Great Plains are home to millions of bison. Indigenous nations like the Haudenosaunee, the Lakota, and the Cherokee develop their own unique confederacies, governing vast territories with complex democratic systems. There are no horses in the Americas, as they were brought by the Spanish. Instead, indigenous peoples develop unique ways of life adapted to their local wildlife, perhaps domesticating other native species over time. The global food supply is also unrecognizable. This is the missing Columbian exchange. In our world, the transfer of crops changed human history. But in this alternate timeline, there are no potatoes in Ireland, meaning the devastating Great Famine never occurs. There are no tomatoes in Italy, completely changing European cuisine. There is no sugarcane in the Caribbean, which tragically means the transatlantic slave trade, fueled by the demand for plantation labor, never reaches its horrific historical scale. The cultures of West Africa remain intact, spared from the devastating loss of millions of their people. Eventually, contact between the East and the West is inevitable. But when it happens, it is not a conquest. Perhaps in the 18th century, a storm blows a Chinese treasure fleet to the shores of California. Or maybe a Dutch trading vessel, blown off course, anchors in a harbor ruled by a powerful indigenous king. When these two worlds finally meet, they meet as equals. They exchange technology, philosophy, and goods through trade, not steel and disease. The Americas are not colonized, They are integrated into the global economy on their own terms. Imagine a modern world where the sky over Tenochtitlan is filled with clean, solar-powered transit systems designed by Aztec engineers. Imagine a global council where the leaders of the Inca Empire sit alongside the leaders of Europe and Asia, deciding the fate of the planet. It is a world of incredible diversity, where ancient traditions were never erased, but instead grew to shape the modern age. The world we live in was built on the sails of 3 small ships in 1492. But history is fragile, and the smallest change can rewrite the destiny of billions. If you enjoyed this journey into what could have been, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us bring more of these incredible alternate histories to life. What do you think would have happened if the Americas were never colonized? Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you in the next timeline.